Good morning. Today we are moving on with expressions. Yesterday we did adding and subtracting. Today for CO37 we are doing multiplication and division. So very similar to what we did in CO36. This time we're looking at the operations of multiplication and division. So again, we're working with those expressions, those mathematical statements. We're going to review words for the operations for multiplication and division. Who can tell me words for multiplication? Of. Remember when we were working on our percentages? 20% of 100 is how much? Of means to multiply. Taya. Times. Isabel. Multiplied by. Matthew. Not doubling. Doubling does mean you multiply, but you multiply by 2. So we're looking at generic multiplication words, not specific ones. But we do know that if we double something, we are multiplying the number by itself. James?
Like groups?
Groups of. Yep. If we have groups of things, we know we are multiplying. Groups of 5, we multiply by 5. And one more we're going to put right underneath. We're going to write product. So if it's the product of something, we are multiplying them together. There are other words that would work, like Matthew had said, doubling, tripling, but you have to know specifically which number you're multiplying by. If you're doubling, you multiply by 2. If you're tripling, you multiply by 3. Isabel?
If there is like a 2 or 3, could we say doubled by? Or doubled?
That's a good question. Let's stick with these words for right now. Nolan?
Groups of products or just groups of?
Groups of, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then product is a separate one. Okay. I just ran out of room. Okay. Because I really wanted to put the of up there because we've talked about how that word of means multiply. So we've got 5 instead of the 4 listed. For division, we know multiplying is the product. Who knows what word it is for division? We could say divided by. That would work, but that's not the word that we use that goes along with the product. Gigi? Divisible by. So you could say divisible. The word I was looking for is the quotient.
Oh, I remember that.
If you're asked to find the quotient of 2 numbers, it means we need to divide those 2 numbers. And we can also, instead of saying groups of, we're going to break them into groups of. So if we're breaking into groups, means we're breaking it down. We're dividing down. So if it says 35 divided into groups of, 35 put into groups of 5, we're going to divide it by 5. Okay, so into groups of means divide, but if we're putting groups of, then we're multiplying. So we're going to be doing the same kind of work that we did yesterday. They're going to give us phrases that we're going to turn into that mathematical expression. And then they're going to give us the expression, and we're going to write it out in a phrase, that word phrase. So let me scroll up so we can see what that looks like. So 2 times a number. How would I write that?
2 multiplying sign and then like times the variable a or like.
Yeah, the variable. I'm going to put n because number starts with n, and so that's just what I naturally go to. But you could do 2 times a. Now, if we want to do...
Jordan Greer to the opposite. Jordan Greer to the opposite.
If we want to do the fancy, we're in big kid math. How would I write that differently? Jillian?
Slanted?
No.
Oh.
When we have that variable or parentheses and there's a number right next to it or another variable right next to it, remember that means we're multiplying, but we don't put the multiplication symbol. We just know that when it's right next to it, we multiply. Okay? So I'll accept 2 times n, but technically it's 2n. And when we do the math test, when we do higher level math, we need to know when we see that, it means that we multiply. Okay. Let's do one more. The quotient of 18 and a number. Ziki? 18 divided by n. There is another way that I could write this. Who thinks they know? Nolan?
18n.
If I do 18n like this, then that means multiplying. But I want to divide. JT.
Slash.
If I do that fraction bar, 18 over n, that means 18 divided by n. And sometimes we do that fraction bar as a slash. Okay, when I write it on our test and I put you got 18 out of 24, right? And you want to find out what percentage that is, you do 18 divided by 24. So that slash is the same as writing it as a fraction, and it means dividing. So you could write it either way, and it means the same thing. So you're going to do the rest of these on your own. Let's look down at the verbal phrase. Look carefully at our directions. Write each mathematical expression as a verbal phrase 2 ways. So think back at those numbers up, the words up above. How could we write it in 2 different ways? So let's do the first one together. How could I write that with words? Enzo?
I don't know.
Amelia?
25 divided by n. Oh my.
25 divided by n. I need a second way. Aiden.
25 divided into groups of n.
25. Instead of saying divided into groups of n, we're going to say 25 into groups of n. So just like with yesterday with the adding and subtracting, there's not only just going to be 2 ways. There are going to be multiple ways. You need to write 2 of them. Then on the bottom, it says determine whether you would multiply or divide in the given situation. And here's where we see that doubling that Matthew had talked about. So think about, is doubling, are we going to be multiplying or dividing? Paying half, you're just going to write it down. Are you going to be multiplying or dividing? If we triple, is that multiplying or dividing? And when we split our bill. So in our table up above, we didn't put that all of those words, but we need to think it through. Does that mean we're getting bigger or are we getting smaller? If you're going bigger, you're multiplying. If you're going smaller, you're dividing. Isabel.
For the, like, can we put just like the sign?
I think you can actually write out multiply and divide. I think we can handle that. If you are, where it's just a 1 page today, which is good since it's art day and it's a short day for us. If you are at home, we hope you are well and we hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.